Good afternoon, Algebra 1, periods 1, 6, and 7. It's May's, it's 3:08, it's Thursday, it's the 28th of May. You have actually one more day after today, Friday, close of business tomorrow, to turn in your coursework. And then the semester test is actually, grading period opens up on Monday. I really don't want to have to be grading regular papers come next week. The semester test will take priority. And if I don't get to your stuff you've turned in after that, sorry about that, but that's the way it goes. So Friday, please, tomorrow, get those stuff turned in. A lot of you are doing quite well. And as I made mention yesterday, I've completed making all the phone calls I'm going to make to parents. But that does not mean that you are not in danger of still failing, because if you are close and if you tank your semester test, you will be on the wrong side of 60 when all this is done. So if you have a 75, 70 or better, after I put all the grades in, then you're good to go. So close the business tomorrow. If your grades are above a 75, life is good for you. If not, you've got some work to do. So let's talk about some of the stuff we're going to encounter here. I got a couple different problems up on the board here. I put a quadratic up on. We're going to find the vertex. And then we're going to find the x-axis intercepts using the quadratic formula. And then I'm going to make an example of one of the problems on your test. There's a fish tank problem, and I'm going to do an example very, very similar to it. So here we go. Okay, there's the quadratic we start with. F of x is equal to 3x squared plus 8x minus 12. And I'm going to analyze that just for a second to make sure that there's no greatest common factor. And is it in standard form? Please don't forget standard form. All right, I don't see a greatest common factor, and yes, it is in standard form. So I identified my A, B, and my C. To find the vertex, remember, the first thing to do to find a vertex is you got to find the axis of symmetry. And that equation for the axis of symmetry is x is equal to negative b all over 2a. So in our case, means our b is an 8. I need to be a negative 8. Opposite of positive 8, negative 8 divided by 6. And reduce is negative 4/3. Now take that negative 4/3 and plug it in. Everywhere you see an x, plug it in. Now notice that I put the y in there because you're trying to find the y value of the vertex. All right? So y is now equal to. And you clean that mess all up, and notice that when I moved the 12 around, I went ahead and found a common denominator. Normally that would have been a 9, but I noticed that 3 is going to go in the 9 quite nicely. And I'm going to come down to 3's, okay? So the y value of the vertex is negative 52/3, okay? So there you go. So you put that together, there's your vertex. Now, if this was a Super Dave Osborne problem, that negative 4/3 would be the time at which, in this case, it's going down, though, and then that would be your max. If that would have been a negative 16t squared and, you know, that x component, that would have been your time. And then the y component would have been the height, okay, if we were dealing with a problem like that. All right, so now let's find the x-axis intercepts, okay? So there's the quadratic formula, because I'm going to put that up there because I look at that. Can you find factors of negative 12 times 3 that are going to add to an 8? No. All right? So once again, we're going to go right to the quadratic formula. I plugged the values of A, B, and C into their respective spots in the quadratic formula, remembering that a negative times a negative is a positive. Some of you are messing that up on your check for comprehensions, and then you're trying to take the square root of a negative number, and you're getting all kinds of fouled up, okay? Okay, and then 208. So x is equal to negative 8 plus or minus 208 divided by 6, okay? Now 208, what can I do with 208? So I take 208, again, this is that 9.1 stuff. 208, I'm going to divide it by a square. I'm going to try 4 because it's even. Hey, look at that, it works. And then 4 goes into 52. Hey, look at that. So 208 is really 16 times 13. Well, 16 is a gorgeous square. What is the square root of 16? 4. So take the 4 out. So now you got negative 8 plus or minus 4 squared roots of 13 over 6. Reduce it. And I get negative 4 because everybody has a 2. Plus or minus 2 squared roots of 13. That's supposed to be a 13. That's supposed to be a 13. Stand by. The correction team's coming on the field. There we go. The correction team is left. All right, so that's 13. So there you go. And note that negative 4/3, that is the axis of symmetry. Anytime you solve using the quadratic formula, the first part of that had better be the axis of symmetry. Okay, that's the beauty of the quadratic formula. Because look at that. There's your negative b over 2a. There it is. Okay? All right, so there's the zeros. Okay? All right, now on your semester test, you've got a problem out there. I give you the dimensions of a fish tank, and then I give you the volume of the fish tank. And I tell you I want the surface area of the sides, the lateral surface area of the fish tank. And you're thinking, oh my God, how do I do that? And if any of you wiseacres out there decide that you're going to give me, 10x and 20x and then 3x plus 1 times 5 and give that to me twice and say you're done, oh, you would be so, so very wrong, all right? I want the actual measure, okay? So how are you going to find that? Well, the volume is length times width times height. So there it is. Length times width times height is equal to the volume. Well, if you clean that up a little bit, 5 times 2x is 10x times 3x plus 1. Divide both sides by 10. Look at that. And then distribute. And then set it equal to 0. And you get 3x squared plus x minus 52 is equal to 0. Now, I'm pretty doggone sure I can factor that, but I'm not going to. I'm going to use the quadratic formula, where a is equal to 3, b is equal to 1, and c is equal to negative 52. Plug the values in. Look at that. Now, the reason, look at that, 625. We all know that the square root of 625 is 25, right? Of course we do. So now x is equal to negative 1 plus 25 over 6. Notice I didn't even bother with the negative 1 minus 25 because I know the dimensions of my fish tanks are positive. And look at that, x is equal to 4. Now that I know that x is equal to 4, I put the 4 in everywhere I see an x. And basically, if I only want the area of the 4 sides, then 2 times 4 is 8, and the height is 5. So one of my ends is 8 times 5, which is 40, plus another end, another 8 times 5, which is 40, plus 2 or 3 times 4 plus 1, 13 times 5, plus another 13 times 5. If you add all of those 4 little areas up, you find that the area is 210 square units, okay? Now that is a beautiful problem, okay? All right. The next thing that you should be focusing on how to find the equation of a line given 2 points. Remember, y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1, and the first thing you have to do is find the slope, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and then put it into slope-intercept form. There are at least 3 questions on here that require that you generate an answer in slope-intercept form. So please, please, please have slope-intercept form figured out, okay? Have that figured out. Y is equal to mx plus b, and how to get there. Okay, most of you are doing quite well. Those of you that are not going to make it, you already know you're not going to make it, and wow, I'm pretty sad about that. But the majority of you can still make this. Your semester test is posted. I have to have your semester test by noon on the 3rd of June, okay? Coursework due tomorrow. Now, if you do turn coursework in after Friday, I may or may not get a chance to grade it because on Monday, my priority is semester tests. That's the priority. If I have time to grade stuff, I will. No guarantees, okay? So please get the stuff turned in, close the business tomorrow, okay? And I'll spend a little time this weekend getting it graded up, okay? All right, well, that's all I got for you. So keep the stuff rolling in. We're almost done, folks. We're almost done. So until tomorrow, May's out.